It's recording. Do you want to introduce yourself, or shall I introduce?
I'm Michelle Gallion, mother of 4. My third child has an autism diagnosis, and he was officially diagnosed at 22 months. He started regressing around 17 months. This was after his late 15-month vaccination round. He got those at almost 17 months.
Yeah.
So his was a slow regression. His first, he lost eye contact first and stopped responding to his name. My husband and I thought, well, okay, maybe he's got a hearing problem now. But I mean, he started, he would still respond to music and toys that played music. So we knew that wasn't it. But if we said his name, he was not looking at us. He was not coming over to us. Nothing. And then he stopped waving. He stopped saying bye. Stopped saying hi. Stopped saying mama. And the last thing he said was daddy. And that was 18 months. And so it's just going downhill from there. Or it went downhill from there. Meltdowns, things like that. He never did sleep very well. So that was still pretty much the same. Yeah.
You noticed problems with his gut as well. I know that when we first spoke,
really, he always had problems with his bowels, and I was told, numerous times by the pediatrician that it was normal. Yeah, I mean, just huge piles of just smelly mush, multiple times a day, not just once a day, 2 and 3 times a day. I was told, oh, it's normal, better in than out. So I mean, I didn't know anything about gut health then, so I was like, well, okay.
And as I remember, he's never had a fever. Is that right? He's still never had a fever? I don't remember.
Thinking back, no. The highest he kind of runs at a 99 anyway. It's pretty much normal. But other than that, I'm trying to think back. No, I don't think he has.
Yeah, when I was looking through our notes earlier, I thought that was quite remarkable. And still, I don't remember since I've been treating him that you've come to me and said he's got a high fever. We still haven't seen one, have we? Quite. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So what had you tried before you came to see me? What had you been doing?
Basic diet, gluten and dairy-free. That helped his eye contact come back, and he started responding to his name again. We did a whole lot of supplements, vitamins, minerals. I honestly never noticed probiotics. Also, I honestly never noticed a difference in anything with those. Continued giving those to him for about 1.5 years, and then he got to the point where I was having to force him to take them because I mean they're liquid. I had to put them in liquid because he doesn't swallow anything, and they don't taste very good. So. It got to be a struggle, so I was like, okay, fine, we'll try just not giving to them, and he didn't regress. Nothing bad happened, so he hasn't been on any of that stuff in 3 years, I guess.
Yeah. And then do you try he's done any chelation or any other homeopathy?
I did. I attempted. No, I did not. I was hoping they wouldn't work. I attempted.
It was going to be your dogs or mine. I knew it was going to be one or the other.
One is at our house. I attempted 6 rounds of chelation, and getting him up in the middle of the night, getting myself up, it was too hard on everybody. And then the supplements. I mean, there's, you have to take supplements 4 times a day, if I remember correctly. So that's hard. Also trying to get him to take all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it didn't last very long.
Yeah. And then you came to me. Was that the next stage?
Yes. I said we didn't do anything for a while. 6, 7, 8 months, we didn't do anything. And so then, people kept talking about homeopathy. So it's like, well, okay, seeing gains. It's like, well, we'll give it a try. It seems easy enough. So yes, that's where we have seen the majority of our gains.
And you've never had to get up in the night to give remedies?
No. And they don't
and you've never had a challenge to get him to take it? because
No,
it
not at all.
tastes.
He opens that mouth like a
And
little bird spoon.
you've never had to get up really early to see me, because our time zones are a little off, aren't they? But it's been okay, I think. Which time zone are you in? Remind me. You're in
I'm in Central.
Central, yeah. So not as bad as Pacific. Pacific can be a bit difficult, but we usually manage anyway for my later day appointments usually work. So you've had during detox, we've done quite a lot of detox with your son, haven't we? You've had any rough rides during detox, or it's generally been quite smooth?
Generally been smooth. The only thing I would say is there was a period, and I do not remember which round we were on or what we were doing, where that's when he kind of started getting into everything.
Yeah, I
Like
think poly
various,
labor. I think it
okay,
was poly labor, and I think we went back and did prednisolone, because
yeah,
although he'd never had steroids, you'd had steroids something like 4 years before he was conceived, something like that, or 4 months before. I can't
yeah,
remember from my notes, but you'd
yeah,
had prednisolone, and we got to a point where we were doing one of the detoxes. I can see there's a break in one of the detoxes where we went away, did prednisolone, and came back and redid it, and it was the polylabor. And I suspect what we're seeing is aggravation without movement, and so we went back to make sure we cleared your steroids, because we'd not cleared steroids for him. And I think nowadays, even if the child's not had steroids, if either of the parents have had them, I tend to clear them, because
right.
we had to go back and then we redid a number of the clears that we'd done. So we went back and we redid polylabor, we redid polyvaccines. We did both of those again afterwards. And I was looking through our little summary, and so I think that will be when it was. So that, I imagine at that point, I can't remember because this is about a year ago, I think, isn't it? Possibly.
Yes.
Um, At that point, you would have had a little bumpy ground because there's something obstructing. Yeah. But I think the very best gains have come. I know his bowels are much better.
Oh yeah.
They've
Yes.
come along really well. We've done quite a lot of gut healing with him, haven't we?
Yeah. It doesn't smell. It doesn't smell sick anymore.
Yeah.
It's not, just ridiculous piles of mush. They're formed.
Yeah.
So
Nice
like
brown stool, well digested,
night and day.
nice and firm. Yeah. And he potty trained. Yeah. He potty trained as well, as I remember. Yeah.
He did. He's so stubborn though, and I think it's probably more me. Now he is potty trained at school. He stays dry at school. As soon as he gets home, he puts on that pull up, and it's probably me just being scared to just pull those from him and say no more.
Yeah.
But and he'll does TT. He won't poop in the potty though. But
in his time, he's only 6, isn't he? Still,
yeah, so
he's still got a little ways. And developmentally, he's doing quite a bit of catch up at the moment, isn't he? So he'll get there.
I would. So yeah, he's doing really well in school. His teacher, she hasn't come out and said he's my best kid, but she tells me every day he's such a joy. He's so sweet. He's just wonderful to work with. He does what she asks him to do, what she tells him to do.
And he is such an angelic looking kid as well. Not only is he sweet, but he looks so angelic as well. He's just got angel going on, hasn't he? So he's the thing that we've noticed. He had tuberculinum not so long ago, and the thing that we noticed was speech, because he's non-verbal, isn't he? Technically, but I think he's not exactly non-verbal anymore.
No, he taught me this weekend. My husband said, "I don't think Liam has been quiet all day." I mean, he's just, and he does. Sometimes he will just sit there and he just talks in his own little language. But I mean, just all day long, he's making some sort of sound and noises. Yeah. So
and we're starting to see a change in the noises, because before you can see the development of sentence structure in the sounds that he's making.
Yes, before
you would tell him that his granddad came to visit.
Yes, my dad was here over the weekend, and he said, "Michelle, I swear," he said a sentence. He said, "I don't know exactly what he was trying to say, but he made a complete sentence."
Yeah,
and he'll say that every now and then. And like I said, it's his own little language, but it's totally different than the infant babble of just a few months ago. The ba ba ba. That's all he was doing. So yeah, we're waiting.
And I think his sister said, because I remember when I spoke to you last follow-up, you said everyone else heard words, you hadn't heard them, but the teacher said he'd said this, and his sister says he said this, and dad says he said this. The words are gradually coming that are understandable.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I did hear him say okay over the weekend. I don't. Somebody told him to do something. I can't remember who it was or what they said to him, and he said okay.
And in locker, I think his teacher said he said.
Yeah.
Repeat, in locker.
Yeah. He repeated in locker after her when she said.
I suspect he still has an element. What he had was apraxia, to do with brain inflammation. So there's a disconnect between the mouth and the brain. So even if he understands, and he already has the language, he just doesn't have the ability to produce it, mechanically produce the language. And this is what you're hearing in these sentence structures. And I think gradually this is going to become, you're going to get more clarity, in my experience. So the sentences are there. He probably even knows what he's trying to say, but it's just coming out garbled because he has that element of apraxia, which I think is to do with brain injury. And so gradually we're making inroads on that. And he's definitely making some nice development in that department, isn't he? Moving along nicely. Yeah. So we just want to see more clarity in his speech coming. But I remember you said last time we followed up as well that he used to be into everything, and he was always boredom was his worst enemy. And he's really changed after tuberculinum in particular.
Yeah, I mean, he's there for a period. We couldn't let him out of our sight because he was going to tear something up or get into something. But I mean, where we are now, he roams all over the house by himself, and he's fine. He doesn't tear things up. He'll go and play with his brother's toys, or he'll likes to play with his siblings now. They'll sit down, or they get outside and they'll play, and he's just not he's not constantly climbing things and getting into things. So he's my easiest child.
Yeah. Yes. That's very characteristic of tuberculinum to in fact very often what you see is somebody who presses buttons because they're bored, very easily bored, and so they're into everything and they want to be outside all the time. They want to be traveling somewhere all the time, so it becomes obsessive that they want to get in the car. They'll be in everybody's business and just being really sort of hard work. So he's calmed down really nicely with tuberculosis. So we've not got too much stimming. He's just got a little bit of carrying around the DVDs. It's fairly normal otherwise, yeah. And how's he doing grade level in school? Where's he at?
We haven't had any kind of conference yet, so I'm not exactly sure. She's just told me that, I mean, he's doing really well.
He's in mainstream or special? I can't remember.
No, he's in the special program, but he mainstreams with his regular kindergarten class for specials, PE, art, and music. Yeah. And he's down and eat lunch with them, and then he's in the classroom with them 20 minutes a day. And she said that all gone well. They haven't had to take him out of any of those at all. So he participates, and he doesn't cause distress or anything like that. So
excellent. Yeah, he's doing well. So when he can get the more clarity with this speech, I think he's going to do really well on that. But he's engaged with the school. He's engaged. Yeah. So as soon as a child is engaging, they've just got much more developmental potential. If they're disengaged, then you're not going to make a huge amount of progress. But his engagement is good, and that's improved over the last whilst we've been doing treatment. I feel like his engagement has improved.
Yes.
Yeah, tons. Yeah, excellent. So it's good. So you preferred homeopathy then?
Oh,
it was workable.
It's easy. I mean, it's cheaper than anything else we've ever done. So I mean, yeah.
And we've got a really good chance of a lot more healing for him. I suspect we could bring him quite a lot further. Yeah, he's made really good inroads just in the last month or so, hasn't he? I think July we gave him tub. Actually, April he had tub. He had it again in July. But I think he's made really good development since that remedy in particular. Yeah. Splendid. Excellent. Thank you for coming and telling us about it.
Oh, sure.
Really, really important for people to know that it's there as an option. Especially if you get to the point where you're at, well, not just when you get to the point where you're at the end of the road of being able to do something else. Preferably people will come to homeopathy first because there's no side effects. It's not going to put strain on the liver, which ACC can put a lot of strain on the liver and the adrenal glands, which we already know because they have to. That's why you have to give all those supplements.
All the supplements. Yes.
Yeah, this is it, and all the yuckiness, and it's expensive to buy all the stuff. And homeopathy is like $4.50 per remedy, $450 per remedy, something like that. So the main expense really is paying me. That's about the only thing. And hopefully I'm giving good value for money as we go along. And you can get hold of me easily, can't you? So it's good. Yeah, so I recommend for everyone to try it. I think it's really worth doing. So good. We've got lots in our toolkit. I think gut repair has been really significant for him as well, because a lot of behaviour comes out through the gut. And gut repair is a massive thing. Your immune system lives in good part in your gut, so it's really important. Yeah. Well, good. And we can detox most of the things that he might have side effects from, like the labour drugs. We can get rid of the toxic metals. The great thing about doing that homeopathically is it targets the metals, but it doesn't take the essentials, whereas chelation will take everything. Homeopathy targets the metal itself. And so if you're giving polymetals, you're not going to be taking other essential elements that you need to keep inside the body. At the same time, you'll only be getting rid of the things that you don't need, that you don't want, that are toxic. So I think it's got lots of good advantages. Excellent. So I'm going to turn the recording off now.
All right.
I've just turned that off. How do we do that?